2nd of September, 2021. I am Len. I am your host, and I am joined this week just by Father Loris.
Yep. Hello.
It's the original No CB Cast planning team.
Yeah. Because we came up with this idea while quite drunk at ParadoxCon, right? So we're like, the OG.
Yeah. I am in fact a pigeon with a historically inaccurate Viking helmet. In real life, that is
which I hastily MS painted on a few seconds.
That's exactly what I look like. Long time fans will know. Rose is out of town for the next couple of, or not out of town, but unavailable for the next couple weeks, and Lambert is not feeling well, so we'll just be running the show.
To a dream team.
Like complete anarchy, basically. Anything goes. There's no sense. There's no reason. Pat Adams, we did Thursday this week because the week off Twitch, encouraging Twitch to give us better tools for moderating our own channels. Something we support. Hopefully they'll come through with that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about it until you mentioned it. I did some reading about it, but I don't know, maybe from my very limited understanding and reading about it, it seems like a very easy thing for Twitch to solve, because it's mostly bots doing it, isn't it?
It's some kind of common sense stuff that I think most other websites too, like not letting you sign up for an unlimited number of accounts with the same email address. And letting us limit our chat to accounts that are only over a certain age. It's just stuff that kind of makes sense for anyone running a platform of this size to give us.
Have a capture that you can enable. You'd have to type in a capture to chat, because if it's bots doing it, surely having basic anti-bot protection seems like a sensible thing to do. But maybe that's just my ignorance about. Twitch is
I'm sure they can't just type it up hacker mode and implement it right away, but it's something that they should have in place. And I think most other websites that have problems with bots have ways to deal with that. So we hope that will have encouraged them to put that a little higher on their priority list. But in the meantime, we got some Dev Diaries to talk about. Since we are streaming on Thursday, we actually have a fresh Victoria 3 Dev Diary to talk about.
You're going to use the stale one first, though? Or do you want to do the other way around? Do you want to mix it up and do a fresh one first and a stale one first?
Let's do them in order, just so we don't bring the chaos out right away. We want to lull them into a sense of security first.
We're opening with the good old stale news. Here we go.
Yeah. So this is last week's. It's about the Treasury. Basically, I think the big takeaway is that when you build something now, as opposed to other Paradox games where you have to basically pay all of the contractors the full amount up front for all of the work that they're going to do over the course of the next. I mean, if it's a manufacturing EU4, it's 10 years or something.
Yeah.
It's as a freelancer, that'd be nice. If it was this is a 10-year project and I just need it all up front. I need all the money up front.
Yeah.
But nobody actually does that. So what it's actually going to do is it's just going to be a weekly drain, I believe, on your treasury.
I actually whenever I get commissions, I tell them pay me when I actually do it, because that's the only way I can stay motivated, to be honest.
I don't necessarily like taking money for something that I haven't finished yet, because
well, it's more I like to have that bacon at the end of a string that I can chase.
That's true.
That's what I should say. That's more knowledge. If I'd eat carrots, but wouldn't see eating a vegetable.
Yeah, that's healthy. Who eats health food?
No, just fried every day. Fried.
Exactly.
Lard, fried.
Just
chips.
big shovel full of garbage, like right into my mouth every morning.
That's right, deep fried garbage.
Exactly. Yeah, that's our national dish. Yeah. So yeah, deficit spending is going to work differently in Victoria 3. It's going to be a little bit more realistic than most of the other Paradox games, where you can actually kind of have a national deficit and it's not that big of a deal. In Victoria 3, I guess you can kind of do this in like EU4, but yeah, in terms of it's kind of assumed that you're gonna sort of, when you're bootstrapping your industry, you'll probably have a national deficit, and as long as the interest doesn't get too high, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know if they mentioned. I guess the money is kind of just disappearing now, as opposed to Victoria 2, which it was like every country had a national bank, and you could actually get dividends from people borrowing from your national bank. It doesn't seem like they're bringing that back, at least not for launch.
It wasn't very fleshed out anyway, because I think almost exclusively you never wanted to take out loans at full stop, right?
Yeah.
Vicky too.
Yeah, and
so the only time you'd ever find yourself like borrowing from people who have got national dividends is when your country's going to shit, and
right,
and then eventually become bankrupt. Normally, when you reload a save, I think was the problem in Vicky. Like every time you reload a save, like 800 people go bankrupt because the market just shits every time the new save launches up.
Exactly. Yeah. Every reloading a save in Victoria 2, if it were a sound, it'd be like, "Whoa!" That's the sound it would make, because everything freaks out and then kind of stabilizes.
It's the sound of 800 Wall Street brokers jumping out of a window. That's the sound of loading a Vicky 2 save.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm in kind of a punchy mindset because I have not slept hardly at all this week. So maybe this is just how I should always just sleep deprive myself before the podcast, because I think I'm more entertaining that way. Like I haven't been drinking or anything. This is just where my brain is at. I think that covers like the big stuff. There's some people that are mad budget sliders are not coming back.
I don't care. I mean, it's essentially what they've got is a slider anyway, right? I mean, it's 5 buttons. It's more of just a. Yeah,
I much prefer this. I don't like fiddling around with sliders.
No.
Maybe they should leave that open as something modders could put in for people who like really want to like fine tune every like 1.5%. But I think it was Wiz also made a really good point that like that's not really how income tax works. Like
no.
you'd have to pass like an income tax bill that would be like, okay, and then we're going to raise income tax to this amount on this day. It's not like you can like go in and micromanage how much you're getting in income taxes like every week from people. Our tax code is confusing bullshit, but it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Thankfully. I do notice that like there doesn't seem to be like a flat sales tax. Like you can put consumption taxes on specific goods. I don't know if sales tax was really a thing in this era or not.
VAT. I don't know when VAT was added.
Yeah, I'm trying to like, when did the US implement sales tax? Maybe someone in chat will know. Yeah, this is bringing up like, there's different kinds of sales tax. There's usage tax versus like origin tax versus destination tax.
I'm
not seeing a date. Yeah.
The stuff I'm most interested in learning about though is tariffs, which is not something we go into in Dev Diary, but there will be tariffs in the game, right?
Right.
But we're going to be explaining that in a later Dev Diary.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big deal in terms of economic policy for this era. Are you going to be very protectionist? Are you going to be very free market? Are you going to be specifically protectionist about specific goods? That's like a whole facet of economic warfare you could engage in. Yeah,
I mean, it was like the big, especially at the start of the Victoria time period, the big debate, which was free trade and protectionism.
Yeah.
And then a lot of empires throwing their weight around, protectionism with the empires that existed.
Right.
People declaring war on each other and having them open their markets a little bit more. Hopefully they flesh in for that, because I think a lot of countries were really free trade crusaders at this time. And
right. So
it'd be interesting if you could force somebody to be more open to free trade.
Chris in chat is saying 1930 was when sales tax was. I don't know if that was VAT or if that was the U.S., but 1921 in West Virginia for the U.S., says Dogberry. So it's within the time period.
Just
broad-based, or the first broad-based general sales taxes in the United States were enacted by Kentucky and Mississippi in 1930. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get down to the level of like states having their own tax codes.
No, not in base game anyway. I won't be surprised if there's like an America-specific expansion in the future that we like has stuff to do with states and increase of federalization and stuff like that. That could be interesting.
That could be interesting for sure. Yeah, that would be if they made the U.S. like the Holy Roman Empire of Victoria too. Like all of the states are basically autonomous on some level.
You don't actually get to play as America unless you click like Washington D.C. when you get to play as America, but otherwise you're playing as Kentucky or California or something.
Yeah, Idaho has been elected emperor. No. That might be a funny mod, but. Yeah, definitely. The question of state versus federal was still. I mean, there was a bit of tension about that for various reasons. So, yeah.
One overarching reason, if I recall.
Yeah, I mean, mainly one reason,
which is VAT.
Yes, of course.
That's what the Civil War was really about.
It was about value-added taxes. Yeah, that was. Don't let anyone tell you different. I might have missed some small stuff, but I think that's
the gist. Yeah, I mean, it has been a week since I read the Step Diary. I think that was the thing. Yeah. But most thing I got from this was like, oh, I'm excited to hear about tariffs. And I don't really mind about the and minting. That was the other one.
Yeah.
But we already knew that from a teaser that minting existed.
Yeah, and if you own a province with precious metals, I think it increases the amount you can get from minting.
Yeah,
I don't know. Did they right now? Okay, so they said right now we don't have inflation mechanics. It's something we think we'll want in the game sooner or later, but likely not for release. Is what Commissar Roach said about that. So
that makes sense.
That's a little bit odd to me that you could just mint money for potentially forever without really causing inflation. But
at
least they want to get it in there at some point. I guess you do have to prioritize for release what you want to focus on. So yeah. But then this week, we got a Dev Diary finally on Standard of Living, which I found very informative because I was kind of confused about what the difference was going to be between Standard of Living and Wealth Level and how they affect each other. So we kind of have gotten an idea of how that works now, where wealth can increase your standard of living is kind of the it's one of the things that can increase your standard of living is sort of the relationship there. But yeah, pops that have a standard of living of 1 to 4, regardless of what their strata is will be starving, 5 to 9 are struggling, so on, impoverished, middling, secure, prosperous, affluent, wealthy, lavish, and then opulent if you can get to 60 plus.
Yeah.
Which they said we don't expect a lot of pops to reach this, but knowing you folks, we've left plenty of headroom to accommodate your mad economic experiments. So I just want to try to create an anarchist co-op where everybody is
opulent.
Yeah, ridiculously wealthy. Yeah.
I imagine it's possible, say, with a smaller state, have like so if you're really micromanaging Luxembourg or something, you could probably get everyone.
Yeah. I think the problem you would face there is that if you try to implement any kind of worker ownership, everyone around you is going to be like, yeah, but how about no?
People's Commune of Luxembourg.
Yeah, because our workers are starting to see your nice hats, and they want nice hats now, and it's just we don't want to answer these uncomfortable questions. Yeah, we're gonna need to go ahead and put a stop to that. Yeah, it affects your birth rate, which obviously, since pops are like the core of everything, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So we've got the example of a devout, I guess, which guess the equivalent of a contraception ban or something if they become loyal.
I guess so. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. And then we got to see women in the workplace increases your workforce ratio.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is how many are considered dependents and how many are actually considered part of the workforce.
Yeah, and then decreases pop growth, which is interesting.
Also, someone pointed out pops in East India Company. So East India Company is going to be a tag, presumably.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be able to play as them or if they're going to work differently because they're a corporation, essentially.
I imagine they're playing kind of similar, but then they'll, I assume, get annexed by an event or something. Which happened historically.
Right.
Historically, they got annexed by an event. Obviously, that's a big pop-up appeared in Parliament.
Yeah.
And said,
that's how it
the Government of India Act popped up.
Yeah, they have to like kind of slide around it because it takes up quite a bit. Of the actual floor of Parliament.
Yeah, it blocked the no chamber, so that's how it got through.
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know. Maybe it would be interesting if you could actually stay independent as one of these charter companies, and then it almost kind of reminds me of like the nightly orders in EU4, where it's like you're organized in a way that doesn't really make sense anymore, so you're gonna have to figure out how to become something resembling a state, or if you're just gonna be able to be a like full-on shadow-run anarcho-capitalist, like corporate feudal bullshit.
I wonder if like it behaves like a Dominion, I guess. So you get to play as Viraj after the Government of India Act and the Sept Rebellion. That could be a thing.
Yeah, I think the map we saw had. I don't know if it had a tag called. I don't think it had a tag called Raj in 1936, but I'm curious if that will be like it's going to combine all of the British Indian territories together into a single tag, or if like the Raj is going to be based out of some specific province, and you're still going to have all the independent.
Yeah,
not independent, but self-governing princedom. Yeah, right.
I hope there is a lot of princely state stuff, because that is a major thing. A lot of governance was done through the princely states.
Right. Loyalty is also going to be affected by standard of living. If it increases, their loyalty increases. If it decreases, their loyalty decreases.
Yep.
Which is going to be talked about more in next week's Dev Diary on political movements.
which I'm very much looking forward to.
Oh yeah,
I imagine you are too. Yeah,
that's like one of the big 5 that I'm still wanting to know more about.
Yeah,
mechanics wise. Yeah, so if a pop's expenses exceed its income, wealth will decline. If it's the other way around, they'll accumulate wealth and then drift towards the amount of consumption they can sustain, which combined with certain other things ends up giving you a standard of living. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read this like 10 minutes before the show started, so I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything.
No, I think that's the gist.
And yeah, we already knew that like most needs can be satisfied by a number of different things. Like heating, you can get fabric for buying warmer clothes. Wood, you got wood burning stoves, you got coal, you got oil.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be like, we demand halibut. We will accept nothing besides halibut to satisfy our needs. But then they can become obsessed with specific things like wine. I think they showed a French.
Yes, I did.
Was it a French upper strata pop that they're really into wine.
I love wine. Yeah, I'd still hope that is like semi pre-programmed.
Oh yeah,
because you want to have British Empire obsessed with tea, you want to have France obsessed with wine, Russians obsessed with vodka, that sort of thing. You want that, definitely.
And they showed taboos as well.
Yes.
So like the Bengal area, they don't like liquor because it's
obvious. Yeah.
I'm curious if that's going to be like dynamically generated by like if it's a Muslim majority or. I
forgot to mute my phone.
Oh,
sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah. I hope it's all dynamic, and based at least somewhat on
yeah, I hope it's weighted. Personally, I like to see historical stuff happen, but organically, I guess.
Yeah.
But hopefully, there's a nudge factor. Another interesting thing, because this was the age where we first saw commuters be a thing. So middle class strata somewhere along here. It was right at the bottom, actually. Yeah, there we are. Middle class strata now require transportation, or they start demanding transportation. I don't know if that's to represent tourism or commuting, but now that's part of their expenses. So riding cheap transportation is now something that's required for middle class strata people. Which is cool. I like that.
Well, they also pointed out that pops aren't going to automatically want to promote to a higher strata anymore. Like if a clerk is making more money as a clerk than they could as like a capitalist, they'll just want to stay a clerk. It's not like being a capitalist is inherently more desirable.
You do get a top hat, though.
You do get a top hat, which is inherently more desirable. So they'll look at where they would be making the most money and having the best standard of living, rather than being like, I just want to climb to the top of the social hierarchy as quickly as possible. So.
Yeah, I hope it's like, I guess there's certain elements of social hierarchy too, which I'm not quite sure will fit into Vicky too very well, because certainly in older countries, nobody's going to become an aristocrat. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah. It was more that the capitalists kind of slowly displaced the aristocrats.
Yeah. Whereas, in America, I think aristocrats are replaced with plantation owners, whereas somebody can become a plantation owner, right?
Yeah. It's there was some nepotism involved, but you could if you had enough money, you could just buy the land.
Yeah.
There weren't like any ancient deeds or rights to it that were established.
Yeah.
By
it's not like you could become a clerk and you became an aristocrat, but you'd obviously be shunned because you're not proper. You're not from. You're not really an aristocrat. You'll always be the class that you're destined to be.
It would be really interesting like as an alternate history scenario to like have the United States, but like what if we elected a king and then actually did have like more of a European style landed aristocracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, like, I guess, like, for all the faults of America, I mean, it was more of a meritocracy than European nations in the Victorian period. If you were white, of course. Like, I mean, that's a given.
But there were people who wanted to make George Washington king. I don't think he wanted to be a king. But yeah, there were people who were just like, yeah, we should have our own king.
Because the founding fathers were all like Roman larpers. That's why. that's the reason.
Well, I mean, hey, yeah, that's what I'll like. Look at what all of our government buildings in Washington D.C. look like.
Exactly. Yeah.
They were LARPing as like kind of Roman/Athenian. Like they kind of wanted it to be like, yeah, we're the direct continuation of the Athenian democracy. Yeah, that's as silly as that is. Yeah.
Wasn't Washington like obsessed with one particular emperor? Wasn't it Cincinnati?
Cincinnati. Yeah,
Cincinnati was the city named. Yeah, so of course.
Yeah.
Which who retired after a certain number of, after like so long, and then that's why he said, "Oh, I'm going to retire" or something.
Right.
That's my very brief shitting its knowledge of American history.
Yeah.
Which is probably wrong.
As far as I know, that's pretty accurate. I'm also, despite being American history is not my main subject. I'm much more late antique and medieval European history is kind of what I have done the most reading on. Certainly not an expert, but yeah. So, but speaking of the Middle Ages, we also got the CK3 dev diary. I'm very excited about.
Yeah, same. Which is something people have been clamoring for, since the game came out, pretty much.
Yeah. We're finally getting a coat of arms designer. There's no more sitting there hitting random for an hour and a half and then deciding not to play because you couldn't find a coat of arms you liked. Or just unplugging your monitor and throwing it out the window because you saw a good one and then you accidentally clicked past it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Playing as that one province minor because it has a slightly better coat of arms for your family than somebody who's like a lot significantly better.
One of the funniest things about this is they mentioned that. So if you want to edit an existing historical coat of arms, you're going to be limited in how you can do that. And I've actually looked into the game files a little bit to see, like, some of these are put together by like really weird resizing and rotation and like warping of different, like they're like jerry rigged in ways you would not expect. Some of the historical coats of arms. So they're not going to let you work with like all of those weird layers that they have put together to make it work.
Yeah.
But if you want to start from scratch, you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah, and more importantly, I think you can save and load your favorites, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm certainly going to keep a notepad filled with historical coat of arms that I'm going to use.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's very in depth. It's actually more in depth than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, so
yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want. I wish they had swatches for the map color and not just the coat of arms colors, because that like that the color picker on the left, like that always gives me like decision anxiety. I like to have some preset choices as well.
Oh yeah. No, I can see that. I do love that.
Yeah. But then for your actual coat of arms color, they've picked specifically colors that were historically used in medieval heraldry, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or you can do whatever you want with the color.
Or you just like keep.
Yeah.
You have a lime green with 800 tree colors and I don't know. Some sort of pagan thing attached to it.
I think it'll be possible to do theoretically whatever. I don't know if there's a limit to how many emblems you can add, But I'm pretty sure if you wanted to just have like the entire text of like Rick Astley's never going to give you up, like tattooed onto the side of like a kiwi bird, like I think you could probably do that. Like if you spend enough time.
Well, you just basically get the line version. You get stuff that's like you'll have a crescent that is from Islam to big VR, and then you could just just keep adding.
If you wanted to just like go in with like tiny colored circles and make the entirety of like the Lost comic, I think you could do that. And then when it gets quartered for cadet branches, it shows alternate endings. Yeah.
Oh my god. You could just do like a sort of more abstract Lost comic with a 4 quarters, couldn't you? Like...
Oh yeah. I'm sure that will be on our /Crusader Kings within a week of this coming out.
100%, yeah.
Someone's gonna have a coat of arms that is Lost related. Yeah.
It's like a French dynasty called Lost.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They also I mentioned on Twitter that I hope that they have some way for us to sort these.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that I don't even remember who was tweeting at me about this, but it sounds like they're going to have tags associated with them. Like you'll be able to type in pagan and it'll bring up all the pagan ones. You'll be able to type in bird and it'll bring up all the ones that look like a bird.
Yeah. That's cool.
That sounds like, from my understanding, that sounds like how it's going to work. But
which is better than I was expecting, to be honest. I would have thought maybe a search function sort of thing.
Yeah, or at least categorize them by like culture group or something like that. So like I could look at all the African pagan ones or all the Islamic ones or whatever.
Yeah.
So
cool. It's cool. A lot better than I expected. Big fan. Yeah. Between
this and the character creator, I think we are now complete in terms of being able to customize all of the bullshit that I want to customize for my realm.
Yeah, exactly. Same with the character creation was above and beyond. I think this is above and beyond. I'm pretty happy with customization after this patch is dropped. I think I'm pretty chuffed. Customization.
Oh, for sure.
Even stuff I didn't care about customizing. I don't want to change my country color, to be honest, unless it was like not the country color I thought it might be, like it's the wrong shade of red when I'm playing England or something, I'll change it to the right shade of red. Something like that.
Sometimes if you like found a new kingdom or empire by decision and it'll just pull like your capital county color and it's like really ugly, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to keep that.
Adams in chat says Norway, getting that to the correct color of like light blue, very important. Conquer Norway, change it to light blue.
That's. I hope Meneth's not in chat because he's. Someone needs to make an F7 U13 shield. What is that in? Let's see, hex color. What does that look like? It's probably very cursed.
Conquer the Byzantines is for Turks and changing it to good and red.
He's okay. F7 U13, like the old fucking like prehistoric Reddit meme. He's not talking about a hex color. He's talking about.
I've never even heard of
that. Do you remember that?
No.
It's like all the
before my Reddit time, I think.
Yeah, that's like late 2000s, like early 2010s Reddit. That's a throwback. That's like back when like Rage comics were back when we were all baconing the narwhal at midnight.
Oh my god.
I think
I was far too pretentious to be taking part in that. It was like Oh, with what's it? Advice Animals too. I remember it was like really big on Reddit, and I was like scoffing. It's like you never see me going on Reddit. Made like Rage comics and Advice Animals, and now here I am on Reddit every day.
That was back when. So like, if you think about the Northmen who settled in Normandy becoming Normans, that was when the something awful culture had settled in Reddit. but they had not become Redditor culture yet. There's still just like a lot of something awful refugees. And so
I was like, I was in my halfway house between like something awful in 4chan, so I can't talk.
Oh really. Yeah, dark days for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I like to pretend 4chan used to be better than it is today, but I suspect it wasn't, and I was just a little prick.
Yeah, I think it's that we all just sucked, so we didn't notice that it was bad.
Yeah. I remember like reminiscing the other day. It's like, back in my day, there was like the Habit Hotel raid, and then I thought about it for 2 seconds. That was actually really racist, actually, wasn't it? It was like, it was really, really bad. Yeah, I think maybe follies of youth.
Maybe you could say that like 4chan has gotten worse because the people who weren't as bad have left by now.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, everybody like, I'm pretty sure everybody sucked 10 years ago. Like if you tell me like to my face, like 10 years ago I didn't suck, I'm gonna be like, really? You didn't?
Speak for yourself. I was perfect since inception. So
think about yourself 10 years ago. Think about your opinions 10 years ago. Are you really telling me you didn't suck?
No, I definitely sucked. Yeah,
because I sucked. I sucked big time.
I used to like help run like mic spam TF2 servers. That's how cool I was as a kid.
Yeah, like there's that Ventrilo harassment.
Yeah. I used to love that, but
go into people's public Ventrilo servers and just make them really mad.
Juke them up.
Exactly. Yeah, I used to like pass out laughing at stuff like that.
Balls of steel, man. That's some vintage YouTubers.
Yeah.
I got taken down, I think, actually. Yeah.
Probably.
Along with gosh, what was the other thing back? Sorry, we're just being two old people at the moment, aren't we? Like,
there
was what's it called? Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged was big around then too.
The abridged anime movement, which if you dig really far back into the depths of the past, I believe was ultimately inspired by some random guy's DBZ rewrite, which was a text-based shitpost rewrite of Dragon Ball Z. It's like we're going back to like early 2000s like internet humor fan sites. We're just gonna turn to dust before this podcast is even over.
Back in my day, you had to pay to get onto a forum to look at good jokes.
Exactly. You had to get your parents' credit card number and hope they didn't notice that there was like $5 coming out of there every month.
Pay low tax $5 from your parents' credit card.
Yeah, exactly. Lie and like because that Bill Clinton said you had to be 13 to sign up for websites. So at one point I was just lying and saying I was born on whatever day would make me 13 when I made the account. So
I remember sneaking off to like the bathroom, right, with the home telephone, right, which was still on board back then, and then so like you'd bring it on and then ringing up the RuneScape membership. Because you could pay for your membership over the phone, bringing them up, and then like, I'm gonna stay on. I gotta pay for my £5 membership secretly on my phone, and hope my parents don't recognize it on my phone bill, and then go into the dial-up. Remember dial-up back then?
That was like okay. So that's a moment in like gaming. Is like if you've been playing like free RuneScape for years, and then finally you can like go through the gate and like see all the other shit that you've never seen before. You're like, this is incredible. There's a whole world out here that I've never seen before. It's like I've been locked in a basement for my entire life. And you can go west of Falador. There's whoa. Look at this mountain, dude. This is the craziest thing ever.
I was such a cool kid. Like, basically what I would do is like basically spend all day on RuneScape like making pies and cakes and stuff. I would never like fight anything, so it was like level 10 or something, but I was like level 70 odd cooking, And I paid for membership specifically because there was like a place in my membership area where you could take empty pots and get free flour, which means I didn't have to go to the mill and grind my own flour. So I would pay £5 a month to get my free flour buckets.
It was definitely a kind of thing where it's like, yeah, free players have to grind for shit that like members we're just gonna give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of the original pay to win in a way.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of the olden days, World War II, the good old days.
Yeah. So this is this temporary for Hoi 4 is all about trains.
Yeah.
So this is the Father Loris special area specialty.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
I managed to screen read it. Basically, you can bomb shit out of other people's trains now, which is pretty great. You can research better types of trains, which I really hope. Here we are. Here it is. Like, camouflage trains appearing on the map. Now, this is something, since it's already in Hearts of Iron, I really hope is definitely going to be in Victoria too, right? They've got the technology to add physical choo-choo trains on the map.
Yeah.
So if we have physical choo-choo trains that change, like in Hearts of Iron, in Victoria too, I'd be very, very happy. I'm very happy that we're in Hearts of Iron still. Yeah.
And you can build armored trains. Pat was asking if you can put AA on trains. I don't know, but they haven't shown us the whole tech tree yet.
Yeah.
There's like a little line that kind of ominously goes down that they're not showing us what that's going to be. But I think for
there's guns, like the old artillery pieces that were never actually used, to be fair. I mean, like, it was a very niche thing, but it looked cool, and therefore you see it on the internet a lot, a big picture of a German gun on a train.
Right.
Never actually fired in anger much. But, looks cool.
The two things that I really like about this are, in addition to armored trains, you can research more resource-efficient trains. Like, you can get civilian trains that just cost less to upkeep and run, which I like. I also like that they're adding air missions for targeting logistics.
Yep.
Because I don't like bombing the hell out of all of these factories that I want to take over and use to make guns in a minute.
Well, that's the other thing. If you bomb the shit out of the logistics, you gotta be taking like chunks out of the trains. But
that's true. But the factories will still be there, so you can build more choo-choo trains. Whereas if you just bombed everything, then you have no trains and no way to make more trains.
Well, it's certainly it's certainly going to be interesting for Britain, because you're basically stuck on essentially a bombing platform. You install Bomber Harris, and then you don't really have much to bomb apart from their factories, and it doesn't really make much impact. So you used to be able to bomb the infrastructure a little bit, but now you can specifically really help your Russian pals out, old Uncle Joe, and bomb the trains as they're trying to invade Russia, which will make a huge impact, I reckon, which would be really cool. So you get to relive every British person's fantasy of being Bomber Harris and committing war crimes on Nazi Germany.
Yeah. War crimes are the best. Don't clip that. I know when I say don't clip it, it just means they're gonna clip it. But
probably.
So I'm just really excited to try out the new logistics system.
I'm more excited about seeing them in game. I want to see the choo-choo trains going along the track. That's what I'm mostly excited about. Researching new models of choo-choo trains, which will be first in the thing for me, and making sure they're historical. Hopefully, all the Russian and the Chinese trains will have little red stars at the front of the trains, because they did, and it was cool. Because that's how you know we're socialist trains, if they got a little red star on the front of the boilers.
Those are workers.
They don't go otherwise.
Those are the People's Democratic Republic of Trains. They have the red star on them.
If you take the red star off, they just break.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
It's like orc magic or something.
At that point, if you take the red star off, they're reactionaries, and you have to execute them. It might be, it might be hard, but that's how things go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also they threw in a little mention of the fact that like a very advanced supply hub will be able to have like some overlap with other nearby supply hubs. So just like taking the province that has the actual hub in it won't necessarily deny supplies to all enemies in that area immediately, which seems a lot more realistic.
Yeah.
If they have another supply hub nearby, they can still get some supplies.
I do like how it adds a lot more structure into the places you're like going to capture.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a big port and capturing that port is going to count for a lot. So the stuff, it's really focusing on Russia at the moment, but this sort of thing, I'm far more excited about the North Africa campaign.
Yeah, so, I think Africa and South America are going to be a lot more interesting now because you're not going to be able to just... Like, currently, if you load up Hearts of Iron 4 right now, it's relatively possible to just, like, start in Egypt and conquer a straight line by land all the way down to South Africa, which is patently absurd.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to be able to do that anymore.
No more like stupid huge battles in the Congo anymore.
Exactly. Like, this should not be happening.
Interesting stuff from the southeast too, because I think a lot of the planning in Southeast Asia was done on the assumption that because everything was jungle, the Japanese couldn't mobilize through it, but they just ended up just landing and doing naval invasions everywhere. So conquering like big ports in Borneo is going to be a big thing. Singapore, fall of Singapore is going to be very, very important. More important. Well, it's very important in the current game, but now it's even more, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's basically going to supply all of Malaysia.
Exactly. Yeah. So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Trains are good.
Trains are brilliant.
We like trains. We like logistics. Give us more trains. Give us more logistics.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. So
pretty chuffed with this. Pretty chuffed.
Yeah.
Like to see more emotion. Sure. And building railways, I'd like to see more of, but pretty chuffed with where the direction it's going. Definitely.
It kind of feels like this is going to be like the Apocalypse or Art of War patch for Hearts of Iron 4.
Yeah.
Like the logistics stuff combined with like the weather stuff we got to look at last week. I think it's just going to make land warfare feel totally different.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's going to feel more realistic, and since that's most of what you're doing in Hearts of Iron 4, it's going to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it gives it more structure. I think that's an important thing. I mean, a lot of combat and stuff benefits from structure. I don't know if you ever played like PlanetSide.
Oh yeah,
the old MMO.
Oh yeah. I've played both PlanetSides. Yeah,
I love PlanetSide 1. I didn't like PlanetSide 2, and one of the major reasons was that is because certainly on launch PlanetSide 2 there was just no structure to the combat, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like PlanetSide 1, you sort of like you conquered strategic areas, and there was like a lull and then a fight and then a push, and then hopefully you get the same sort of dynamic you get, but in more of a strategy way where you push for a logistics point, be it like, I don't know, Stalingrad or Kiev or something.
There were some of my favorite like Arma 2 multiplayer scenarios were the ones where it was like if you died, you were going to be on a helicopter for like 15 minutes to get back to
which
the battle
great, right?
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it's like you just hang out and talk in voice chat about
kids these days, Liana, they don't understand. They're too like coked up or whatever on their whiz bang drugs or whatever they're up to. These kids these days.
I don't get back into combat in 30 seconds. I'm gonna uninstall this game and I'm gonna go do vandalism.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go harass a developer.
It's like, no, you hang out in the helicopter for 15 real-time minutes with your friends and talk about how your day is going, and then you get in
combat, and then you die within 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And then you do the helicopter. It's really just a helicopter riding simulator.
Yeah.
It's not actually a war game. So.
Like back in my day, trying to play an online video game, especially like an old strategy game, it was 4 hours of trying to get the fucking thing to work, and then about 10 minutes of actually playing the game, and then it desynced. Right, that was the good old days.
just consulting the chart that came with like Warcraft 2 Battle.net edition about how many CDs do you need for each like number of players, because it was like they didn't want to make everybody have to buy their own copy, but they had like some mathematical formula where it's like, okay, you can play 4 players with 2 CDs, or like 6 players with 3.5 CDs. You can break one in half and put like half in one's drive and half in it was almost that complicated though.
Command & Conquer Generals, I think if you joined a multiplayer lobby with somebody with the same CD key, it banned you, but you could go into your registry files and edit your key to be just nonsense, and it works. It was fine.
Yeah, and then just like you accidentally changed the wrong thing and you brick your Windows install.
But I wanted to play CNC Generals with a friend at a LAN party back in the old days. Anyway, we have more new news on the passion of bringing back the old. Fred's back as CEO,
right?
Which is very interesting.
Yeah, so Fred Wester, if you don't really follow like the business side of Paradox, Fred Wester was the CEO basically. I mean, he for ages up until 2018 when he became chairman of the board, and that's when Ebba came in to do more of like the day-to-day running of things, from how I understand it. And she has now stepped down. I think I don't remember the exact quote, but it was something like a disagreement about the general strategy of the company or something like that.
Yeah.
So Fred is coming back. He said it's not. He did clarify on Twitter that he's not considering this like a short-term thing while they find someone else.
Long haul, right? He's not like what's called a stopgap. It's not a stopgap, right?
Yeah, and then someone on Twitter also pointed out to me that on their investor call, I think it was their most recent investor call, they had mentioned focusing more on the core strategy titles. So yeah, it's like I don't want to like wildly speculate about like motives and stuff. But it seems to me like maybe Ebba wanted to branch out more, and now that they're focusing back on strategy, she wasn't like as interested in the direction the company was going.
Yeah.
If I was gonna take a wild guess, that would be my guess about it. So.
Unfortunately, neither of us in a position we've got any insider knowledge about this code.
Right, exactly.
We're just we don't
know anything. So
I came to the same assumption though. Like, I think Ebbo was more branching out, which makes sense if you look at the developments. But I think with recent Vampire Masquerade news,
I still feel for like everybody who was involved in that, because it was just such a like heartbreaking disaster on every level. It seems like they were really, really, really counting on that to be like a huge hit, and like it's like indefinitely postponed now. Because I want to play it. Like, damn it, I want to play Bloodlines 2 at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's got like a very dedicated fan base, right? If people really anticipate.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say like these sequels never live up to expectation, but I recently played Psychonauts 2 and I completely changed my mind about long anticipated sequels.
Oh, I've heard very good things about it.
Very good. So I wish it was a strategy game so I could talk about it a bit more, but nonetheless, yes. But like so that's with the tinfoil hat on, and I think with everyone's speculating, this could see possibly refocusing on. Expansions on the core strategy games, right?
Yeah, which to be fair, like Fred wasn't always like a solely hardcore strategy guy. Like
not
like,
at all. Yeah, I mean,
Magica under his tenure, Showdown Effect was one of his.
Yeah,
like he really hyped that up, and like Teleglitch and stuff like that.
The Surviving series, like Surviving Mars and the Apocalypse one, which,
Yeah, I've been meaning to go back to Surviving the Aftermath because I played it like one of the early builds, and they've had like 11 updates since then, and I haven't.
Same actually. Yeah,
I got back to it, so I should check and see where that's at. But Yeah, I think Paradox's strength is strategy games for the most part. I think focusing on that makes sense for, from a fan perspective, probably also from a business perspective. Yeah, especially all the money they put into like marketing Bloodlines 2, and like the fact that they don't really have anything to show for it.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense to focus on your strengths. Would be my thought.
Yeah, but put some money into Tinto, that sort of thing. Which Ebba, that's the other thing, right? Ebba was doing that, right? So like,
oh yeah,
I mean, these things aren't.
Those were the dumbest conspiracy theories I saw on Reddit. Was that like she wanted to close Tinto and fire Johan, and it's like they're trying to invent some sort of
There's somebody say that. That's mental.
Store thriller novel conspiracy, and it's like, why would you open a new studio and then immediately try to close it?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
That's Reddit for you, man.
Yeah, there's some people on there. But
yeah. I mean, people are also talking about Paradox stock numbers. I mean, I don't think can be wholly explained via the success of video games. This has been a shit year for everything in the economy.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't just go by stock prices. As much as people seem to like think that the video game industry is like can survive and thrive in current economic circumstances, it's not true. And people working from remote locations are not very productive, especially when it comes to like programmers who are not very social, and maybe giving them an opportunity to stay indoors on their own may lead to adverse psychological conditions.
Exactly. But when like onboarding a ton of new people, like Tinto, like founding a new studio in the middle of all of this, and like the Crusader Kings team has expanded again, and they had to delay Royal Court just because it took so long to onboard all the new people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily delay because they never announced it like a release date, but they did say it's taking longer than we thought it would. So
yeah.
I think that Paradox probably is in a position right now where they feel like they're kind of maybe at a threshold where like Crusader Kings 3 was this huge runaway success, but a lot of the other things that they have tried recently have not worked out that well.
Yeah.
Imperator didn't really find an audience. Bloodlines 2 seems like it was kind of a fiasco.
It's an absolute shit show.
Empire of Sin, I think, underperformed their expectations at launch.
I think they were just...
Then, of course, the Leviathan, disaster. But,
that was a bit of a, I think that knocked the confidence of a lot of people. Yeah, I think, and also with Empire of Sin, I think they were just betting on it being, it's a Romero game, so markets itself, but I guess.
It was more of a mixed reception, I think, than they were expecting. But we'll see what happens. I know we don't really dig really deep into the business side on this show very often, but it's kind of an interesting turning point for Paradox, and be curious to see.
I do hope, but maybe it's just wishful thinking that they focus on their core strategy games.
Yeah.
Like what's that old? It's like some sort of Tibetan saying or some shit. I don't know, some like wise old sage. It's funny because so I guess like in the West we say what is it? It's you don't want to be a big fish in a small pond, but like the opposite saying is you want to be the chicken's head, not the cow's tail, right? I think that's more wise, right? You want to be, it's better for Paradox to dominate the strategy market than it is to basically, drown amongst bigger companies like EA and stuff.
Well, because I was looking at what was the last game that they released that was like a really big hit that was not like strategy or management or like the city builder genre, and it's like it was probably like Pillars of Eternity and like Tyranny, and I don't even know.
They didn't develop it though, right? I mean, that's a license thing, right?
Yeah, those were published by Paradox. So, like, I don't know how big of a financial success those were. I'm assuming Tyranny did not sell as many copies as I think it should have, because I think it was a fantastic game, and I wish it had turned into a franchise. But
famously, Mount and Blade bankrolled the company for much of the early period, right? Mount and Blade, such a huge runaway success.
Yeah,
Magica, I guess.
Yeah, Magica was pretty big. Yeah.
That Magica MOBA that came out was brilliant. I wish that
it was good. Yeah, Wizard
really
Wars was actually really good, and it was different enough from every other MOBA that I was I want this to succeed, but I guess it also didn't really find an audience. But
it's a shame. It was criminally underrated.
Oh yeah.
Salem, of course. The crafting MMO.
I think the first Paradox appointment I ever took was for Salem, actually. It was the first month I was an intern at PC Gamer, and I didn't even know what Paradox was. I'd seen ads and magazines for EU3 and Sengoku and been like, oh, these graphics suck. I'm not going to play that.
Next time we get somebody from Paradox in, an old member. Maybe Bjorn or something. We need a quiz him about Salem, because the whole saga of Salem is really funny and interesting. Basically, one guy ended up dominating the entire game, and then he bought the game.
I heard about that. I heard about that. Yeah, that's
he's still running on some private server now. He actually bought the rights to the game after dominating the entire thing.
It was very, very interesting mechanically, and also very, very, very bizarre. I think the character models in Salem still give me nightmares.
The horse models.
Yeah.
I remember sort of twinky little horses.
Yeah, it's these cracked out demon doll pilgrims with that didn't blink and had gigantic eyes and looked horrified at all times. So
T-Rex asked in chat, it wasn't Slytherin on Matrix Games part of Paradox Studios. I'm not quite sure about that, actually.
I think they share some connection. Somebody that worked at Paradox early on, I think, might have founded Matrix. I'm purely going on hazy half memory stuff right now.
But Slytherin hasn't really had a big, not that I know anyway, a big popular game, right? It's quite a niche audience, very niche.
Yeah, Slytherin feels to me pre-Crusader Kings Paradox. They're still very much catering to a very hardcore kind of specific kind of war game player.
BattleTech too is a big one.
BattleTech was really good.
Airbrain Schemes, of course, a big part of Paradox.
I wish they had continued to expand that, because I was just waiting for the clan expansion that never came for BattleTech. But I guess some people didn't want that, because they're like, clan mechs are overpowered. Clan mechs are bullshit. Don't do a clan expansion. I'm going to throw my computer away if you do a clan expansion.
I'm going to rage so hard on Twitter and Reddit. I'm going
to go back to RuneScape.
Shit and piss myself and go back to RuneScape,
what have you been up to this week, Loris? I heard there was a drill involved.
Yeah, I've been drilling rocks all day today. Well, that's just today, really.
Just for fun.
Just for fun, yeah. Just thought again, so my Welshness coming through. Doesn't do some mining in my own house. So.
Right, yeah.
Just drilling holes in the wall. Fun.
Like you do. Yeah.
Helps the walls breathe a little bit,
Yeah, You gotta aerate. You gotta aerate your masonry,
of course,
on a regular basis. So
it's been a very good week for video games for me. Psychonauts 2 came out, and it came out with very low expectations for me, because I haven't really liked Tim Schafer's games since Psychonauts, essentially. I thought Broken Age was rubbish, and
I actually never even played Broken Age, because I didn't hear anyone tell me that it was good, so I was like, all right, well, I guess I could skip it.
Yeah, I think opinions range from it being below mediocre to shit, and I'm running the shit ones. I mean, like, like the first season, it started out very promising, and then like it just fell apart because I don't think they actually planned out the entire story. It didn't make any sense. But Psychonauts 2, oh my goodness, what a return to form! Like, it's amazing. It's really, really funny. Like, genuinely, like, you know, when you're playing a single player game on your own and you're laughing at your computer screen.
Oh yeah,
that's how funny it was. It's very, very good.
Nice.
Very clever. I was very worried because essentially Psychonauts is a game about like mental health, and it's also like a comedy game. And after the whole fiasco around Boyfriend Dungeon, I thought, oh, maybe kids these days just cannot consume media critically anymore. Like,
there's a subset. There is a subset. Yeah.
So I was kind of worried that that Psychonauts would really just not be about mental health anymore, which would ruin what Psychonauts is about. But it wasn't. Yeah. It was. It had a little warning at the front, which was fine. Basically, like warning people, oh, if you cannot consume media responsibly. Like, this game is about mental health, and it's also pokes fun at concepts, but ultimately it's about healing, which is what Psychonauts is about. It's upbeat, it's fun, but it tackles, you know, hard issues like PTSD and alcoholism and all that in a fun and upbeat and ultimately positive way. Very good.
Yeah.
Brilliant story. A bit of a tearjerker at times, and great game. And then the new Anno High Life came out, which I'm a huge fan of Anno, so I've been playing a lot of that, making skyscrapers in Manhattan. Great fun.
Is it like a main series Anno game, or is it like a spin-off?
It's one of the expansions. So
okay.
So, have you played much Anno? Are you a fan of Anno much?
Yeah, I got into it with what was the futuristic one?
2070.
Yeah, and then I've played 1800. I haven't played much of the older ones.
1404 is very good. I like 2070, where you had the heroes of the text, right?
Right. Yeah.
I always just play the text and Pluto's Max as much as I can because I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
just had a real hell city.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
And people kept complaining because, oh wow, it's acid rain all the time. It's like, okay, fine, well, get a grip. Don't you have a factory to work in? That's
of course.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say most people used to think 1404 was the best Anno game, and then 2070 was good, but it was a bit of a downgrade for 1404. And then one came out that was like also in the future, and no one liked it. 2012. What was it?
I think that's the one I reviewed. The one where you go to the moon, or
that's the one. Yeah. I forgot
it wasn't. Yeah,
I have just some chat. Yeah,
2205. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that one. They tried to like add like this weird RTS thing to it that was kind of awkward. Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
I think who develops these things? I think it was Sunflower Games, I think they were called.
Yeah.
But now Blue Byte is working on Anno 1800, and
I
think it's fair to say that they have knocked this one out of the park. Anno 1800 is amazing.
Yeah.
They managed to get Ubisoft to, I guess like they instilled. So it became one of the best-selling games on Uplay for a good while, which is, it's a city builder strategy game. That's unheard of, right? It's competing with like all the X number of Assassin's Creed games.
Right, yeah.
And so they got a season pass where they added like some really cool DLC, like they had the Arctic, and then they had another season pass where they added like Africa, and now they had a third season pass which no one expected. It's a surprise third season, and that's just come to an end now. So fingers crossed it will get a fourth. This will be the surprise fourth season, hopefully.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the DLC for 1800, so.
Oh, it's well worth it. If you can get a copy of it, it's adds so much to the game.
Nice.
Really
cool.
And what about yourself? What have you been up
to? Yeah, I just reviewed King's Bounty 2, which is like, it's a tactical RPG, so it's kind of in the wheelhouse of this show. It's fine. It's like the battles are actually pretty good, but like everything that connects the battles, I just kind of wished it wasn't there. Like they try to they try to have like this open world RPG around it, and it's like, yeah, I would have been okay if this had just been like a series of tactical battles with like some flavor text and a shop interface,
like advanced war style, you know,
in between.
like,
yeah, like I think that might have been a better game. Yeah, what else have I been? I've just been playing a lot of Minecraft. Like it's nuts. Like that's been like all of my time recently. Is like I'll pull up like these like diagrams, these archaeological diagrams of like the Celtic oppidum at Gergovia, and it's like I'm just gonna make that in Minecraft as historically accurate as I possibly can, and it takes like 2,000 hours in survival mode, and then I just like don't play Minecraft for another 3 years or something.
Have you been playing modded, or is it vanilla?
I'm playing vanilla right now because I did figure out a way to make this work relevant, because I'm writing about the new 1.18, which changes
the terrain
generation a lot. Like
there's
actual
like caves and stuff now, haven't they?
Yeah, well, like there's like actual like mountain-sized mountains. Like they raised the height limit again, so being a person from the mountains, I like that. But that's like I built like a small scale Constantinople one time. Like I like looked up a street plan of like medieval Constantinople, and I kind of like scaled it back. Like I had Hagia Sophia where it was sort of supposed to be, and then like everything around it was kind of scaled down. Like I didn't try to build out the whole city, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff I do in Minecraft. I don't. There's like an Ender Dragon or something. I don't care. It's like, all right, I need to figure out where this color of stone is, because this part needs to be this color. Yeah, and then computing how to make a dome out of perfect cubes. Yeah.
I normally, whenever I play Minecraft, I play modded with some friends, and I just annoy them.
Yeah.
Because both of them, they're like really intense, like efficiency builders. So both of them are like, like they really have to build really efficient things. And then I come in and build like something that is pretty and massively impractical, and annoy them and use up the entire resource thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, where did all of our iron go? I need it for like filigree. Like, it's sorry.
I literally had that. Like one of them, she popped onto Discord, and it was like, "Where's our last steel gun, Loris?" And it was like, I needed it to build some decorative, like,
exactly,
like paneling. It's really important.
Yeah,
all the steel of the base gone, but it did look beautiful. So
Yeah, there you go.
Fine, that's fine.
That's the way. That's the correct way to play.
Exactly.
Yeah. As always, you can follow the podcast. We're at NoCBcast. I'm behind on getting episodes uploaded to Soundcloud again, as I'm sure a lot of you already know and have been bugging me about on Twitter. I should be able to get caught up on that this weekend. It's Labor Day weekend in the US, so I'll have some extra time to get that squared away. Hopefully, I think Rose is still going to be on next week, but hopefully Lambert's feeling better, and I think we're talking about getting another guest on.
Fingers crossed if that comes through.
It'll be a cool month for September. Be sure to like follow the show and give us like hearts and stars and
bells,
reviews and bells and
comments,
whistles, and
I'd say we do all read the comments.
Anything that will trick the robot into showing us to more people, which is any kind of engagement whatsoever.
And we want to hear some more feedback too, I think, both of us, right? I mean, like, something
for sure.
Talking about. So. Bit of feedback, ways we could improve the show, stuff you'd like to see more of, that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm especially curious to hear, because it seems like when there's a bunch of us and we have a lot of news to cover, it kind of stifles the kind of organic discussion that we've been doing a lot of on this episode. And I'm curious because, like, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Like, as far as you listeners listening right now, because like there's a lot of Paradox news at this point every week to go over, which is not something I would have predicted, even like 5 years ago. And I feel like it's like I'm stressing out because we have to like get through all of it, and should we just not care about that? Like, I don't want anyone to feel like their game is left out. I don't want to feel like we're glossing over something that someone was really interested in hearing us talk about. But also, I think it's just a more entertaining podcast if we just have more time to goof around, and that's kind of hard to do with how much news we have to cover per week. So I know somebody on Twitter suggested like maybe doing like one game a week and just
like focusing on it, and then we could just do a very quick news roundup at the end. I'm quite interested.
Yeah, like my impression is definitely that we should spend less percentage of the show on Dev Diaries, but as far as how we would handle that, open to suggestions. Because we want more time to just goof off and talk about.
I just want to talk about it in general. Like, I'd like to like say memes. Just a big overview of something. Like on the radio, you get something like an Onimbus episode, and they're always the best ones because it's sort of a good roundup of everything that's happened. Maybe we could do that.
Yep.
Have a sort of roundup of 5 Vicky Dev Diaries and 5 like CK2 Dev Diaries. And, like, one big mulch, and have our thoughts and opinions and chatting about that a little bit.
Right.
That'd be cool. I don't know. But leave your feedback. We want to hear from you.
Yep. Twitter, wherever. You can send it on a carrier pigeon. I am a pigeon now, so I'll figure out how to get a hold of it. So and we'll be back at our regular time slot next week on Wednesday. And we'll look forward to seeing you then.
Take care. Bye.